Good morning. Good morning. It is Make It Happen Monday. It's 9 a.m., Monday, the 26th of September. And for those that don't know, I'm Cheryl Andrews, also known as the Listening Detective. And this show is all about helping you to get the strategies to achieve success without stress. And today is no different, except for I'm not live. This is a recording. So I'm talking today about financial overwhelm. This is the episode for you. If you find it really difficult to talk about money, if the thought of money causes anxiety, stress, overwhelm, and you maybe find yourself avoiding certain conversations with yourself or other people, then please stay tuned. I've been very, very honoured and very privileged to be part of what is called the Financial Resilience Hub that's been founded by a lady called Helen Monaghan. And as a result of being part of that membership, I'm part of a group now where we're having conversations about money. And a conversation we had recently about, and I'd love to have your take on this. Please comment below and tell me what you think it is. We talked about, first of all, what is financial resilience? Why is it important? And also, where does it come from? So obviously what we've discovered in this group conversation is what is financial resilience for one person is very different to somebody else. So it doesn't surprise me because, as you know, we work through step-by-step listening with 3 steps: clarity of what you want, confidence in the process, what's going to get you from where you are now to where you want to be. But it's also recognizing that change is uncomfortable. And as I was listening to Helen describing her model of financial resilience, I found myself being really triggered. And I've had this conversation with her, by the way, I haven't just kept it to myself. But I found myself being really, really upset, really angry, frustrated, and it evoked all kinds of emotions. And so I had to sit with it for a bit. I even had to sleep on it, and I had to come back, and we had a number of different conversations. We had our first initial conversation, then we did something by email, and then we had another conversation, and then we had the group discussion with the hub. And what transpired for me is that for Helen, her model of financial resilience is that you have a safety net. And she says it comes down to 3 things. You need to give yourself the time, which is now we work out why her and I work in synergy together, is because I often help people to create the time, and we won't create time to do things that cause us overwhelm or frustration or angst or stuff. So if we've got a fear about money, there's a really good chance that we will avoid even, we'll come up with every excuse or every reason not to do it. We won't make time to do it. So the first thing she said is you do need to have time. That's one of the biggest reasons. She says working with as an accountant with business owners, they tend to either ignore their business finances or their personal finances. And this was about actually having time to do both. The second thing was to actually be able to look at your accounts or look at your bank account or even your purse with your money in if you're still carrying change, and actually understanding what it's telling you. And this is the bit that I found interesting, is I know that for me, I thought I'd done a lot of work to do this, that I was actually associating what was in the bank account or how much money I had made or how much money I had put into the bank account as my representation of my worth or my value. And so I wasn't really being objective when looking at the numbers. I wasn't looking at going, particularly in the business, going, okay, where do my clients come from? What am I spending money on? What is that working? And I wasn't really analyzing it. So one of the things that Helen talks about is actually knowing how to interpret the numbers. Now, Helen, being an accountant, she loves numbers. They're patterns, and they just give her information. But the third thing that she said is the big thing that stops people is once you've got time and you're looking at your accounts, if you're always putting this sort of like, oh, everything's going to be fine, everything will be positivity, she calls it the wishing and hoping, then you are likely to not plan for or have a strategy for financial resilience when the financial storms happen, because they're guaranteed to happen. Anyone who knows anything about the stock markets and the economy, they'll know that generally every 10 years we have a recession of some sort. So in 2008 we've had one, we've got another one pending now. So around the sort of 10-year mark, there is always a drop in the economy, there's always a drop in a recession. It happens, it's part of a pattern that's almost predictable, that's going to happen. But we also know other things happen, like we get ill or we lose contracts, particularly in business. So things change inevitably. And what she's saying is that people, again, don't have the conversation about what if. And the questions that she was asking me that really evoked a whole load of emotion for me and really caused me quite a lot of stress. And I had to really sit with it. And I had to have a number of conversations with Mark, my husband. Is she was saying that you need to ask questions like, well, what happens if you and your business partner split up? What happens if you lose that member of staff? What happens if your partner dies? What happens if you get divorced? And what I found for me personally, and I didn't realize, is that, and she said, for her, the safety net is that she needs to know that she could stand on her own 2 feet independently. So if this happens, she can do this on her own, that coming back to an independent model. And it was the independent thing that was really triggering me, because I guess having gone through divorce and it having quite a big financial impact on me, in that I was the primary earner to start with, and my husband was a stay-at-home dad. Then I went part-time. I'd also put most of the capital into the property from my home as well. When I settled with him, I had to increase my mortgage at a time when I would have almost be coming towards a point of being able to pay my mortgage off. And so it had quite a big impact on me financially. My financial plan was to be like mortgage free by the time I was 47. And there I was now in my early 40s having to double my mortgage. So divorce really impacted me from that perspective. But when I met Mark, we've had some really open and honest conversations about money. And over the years, what I've had to struggle with, or what I've had to come to terms with, or I've had to change my story about my narrative, is this value in my unpaid role. So I spend quite a bit of time. My time is often running around after the family. So if the car needs to go for an MOT, I'm making sure it's sorted out. If the house needs to be cleaned or maintained, I run the maintenance. I'm the manager, if you like, project manager for the home, the family, our diaries, etc. And I'm often the one that's sitting, listening to, or running the kids around, or doing stuff for or with the children. And I often felt like I wasn't putting enough money into the house. And it was only when we as a partnership, as a couple, could get to the point where we said, actually, that's got value. If you went to work full time, or you worked more hours, or you did whatever and earned more money, then we'd have to pay for that things to be done. So that there was a value to that being done. But here was the light bulb moment. It was like, actually, I want to still do that valuable unpaid role, and I want to earn enough money that I could support myself independently. And because I still hadn't really owned the fact that I wanted to value my unpaid role, I didn't truly value it. I was I was stopping myself from earning more money, almost in conflict with myself, that, if I earn more money, then I might prove to myself that other role could have been done for nothing, which isn't true, by the way. And so I hadn't realized I was even in a bind just by having this conversation about financial resilience. So I just want to put it out to you today that if you are finding it difficult, I will put the link both in the show notes for YouTube and also in the comments from LinkedIn and Facebook. But I will just, put the link to the Financial Resilience Hub. Please, if you are interested in having more conversations about money, you want a safe environment where you explore money, particularly if you're self-employed and you've got your own business, sole trader or limited company. And I've just realized my printer's just making noises behind me. Do apologize for that. Let's just put that in case anyone upstairs has decided they're going to try and print anything. Hopefully not. If you are interested in a safe environment to come and talk about money, please do come and look at the Financial Resilience Hub. We meet once a month, but there's online courses. If you want to be more confident with accounts, if you've got any questions about tax, Helen as an accountant is there for the technical questions, but she's also really great at creating this really a safe place where you can have compassion for any fears or concerns that you have about money and those sort of conversations. Equally, if you are in Edinburgh on the 31st of October, both Helen and I will be running a 1-hour workshop called Money Mindfulness. where you'll be able to discover and work through and start having conversations about money, and just noticing what fears or frustrations that come up for you, and what it's like, what the experience is like to have a conversation about it where you feel safe to ask your questions and find out more about money. So I want to leave you with this. Just to ask yourself today, what is financial resilience for you? For some of the group, when we were talking, it was simply about independence, having enough money to be able to buy what you want to buy. For other people, it was like Helen, a safety net, and being able to be independent if the worst happened, your partner wasn't there through divorce or death, etc. And what I've discovered, and having talked to Mark, is that my financial resilience is about being able to leave a legacy, leave something for my children, and his was about us not being a burden to our children. So we have a slight mismatch on what our financial resilience models are. So we're going to be spending some time over the next couple of weeks as a couple exploring financial resilience for us independently is like what, and then what would it look like as a couple? How do we run our finances together, and how do we create our will? Even what do we want to put in our will to make sure that both of our models for financial resilience are honoured and respected in that decision? So that's where I'm at with it, and I'd love to know for you what you hear and what you learn from this discussion too. If you've got any questions, please get in touch. So that leaves me to close our session off as we normally do with the clean setup. And so I'm going to invite you to think about, given what you've heard today about financial resilience and financial overwhelm, what would you like to have happen? Now think about, for that to happen, how do you need to be? You are like what? What kind of you is that you? And for that to happen, and for you to be like that, what kind of resource and support might you need? And as always, if you are struggling to know what support you need, then please get in touch. Maybe it won't be Helen's Hub. Maybe you just need some clarity for yourself about what it is you'd like to have happen. Maybe it's about, what you want and what works for you, but you need that conversation with your partner. And maybe they don't agree with you, and you're not very comfortable having that conversation because you don't like it when people get upset or disagree, or there feels like there might be a conflict. And actually learning how to develop the tools and resources inside you so that you can listen to other people have different opinions and different models and be okay with yours being unique to you, then that might be where I can help. And certainly the things we do me could be useful for you to learn to develop the skills to listen to other people and be okay with being different, because you have absolute clarity in why you want what you want, and you have confidence it's the right thing for you. And then you don't keep changing your mind and changing your priorities because you keep hearing people are doing it, that you start to question your own way of being and your own way of doing it. So I would love to find out what you thought about today's video. Please leave a comment. Don't forget, if you're on LinkedIn, ring the bell if you want more notifications from me. If you're on Facebook, please hit the like button. And of course, on YouTube, please subscribe. Without any further ado, I will actually be taking some time out at a spa. So by the time you're actually watching this, I should be in a lovely massage room, completely relaxing. And so I'd also love some feedback from my regulars who normally watch me live, to let me know the impact of knowing that I'm not live with you. Did it still give you the value? Did it give you the support you needed? And I look forward to hearing from you shortly. Have a fantastic week. Whatever you're doing, whatever you make happen, make sure you've got the support for it.